Someone asks you what you want, not what you should do, not what's smart, not what's best for everybody, but simply what you want. And you open your mouth to answer, but there's nothing there. There's just a blank where the answer should be, but it isn't there. So you cover it up. Say, I don't know, whatever works. And you move on. And nobody notices because you're good at covering it up now. You've had a lot of practice. But you noticed. And you always notice. Now, if that's ever happened to you, if a simple question about what you want has ever left you with nothing, then stay with me. Because that blank isn't nothing. That blank is the whole reason that this show exists. I'm Brett, and this is The Silent Reckoning, a show for men who've spent a long time being everything to everyone else, and somewhere in it, lost track of who they are themselves. And if I'm honest, a lot of us also lost track of God somewhere in there too. So let's get to it. I want to go back to that blank because I don't think you realize yet how strange it actually is. Because at work, you decide things all day. Someone brings you a problem, you see the answer before they've even finished their sentence. You make calls other people can't make. And people trust your judgment. You trust your judgment. So you're not indecisive. Let's just throw that word right out. Because that isn't what this is. Because if you take that same sharp, decisive man and ask him what he wants for dinner, what he wants to do with a free night on Saturday, what he wants his life to actually look like a year from now, you ask him those questions and see what happens. Nothing. Static. The same man who can decide anything for anyone goes blank the second that the question is asked about him. It's not indecision. It's something else entirely. You're not bad at deciding. You're decisive about everyone except for yourself. And you know when it shows up worst? It's not at dinner. Dinner, you can dodge. It's at night when it's quiet and there's no one there that you need to be strong for. There's nothing left to fix. And this feeling comes up. And you can't quite give it a name. It's not feeling wrong enough to point at it. It just feels off. Like you've been driving somewhere fast, making great time, and you just can't shake the sense that you never actually chose the destination. Or it's the drive home. You pull into the garage and you put it in park. And you realize you don't remember the last 20 minutes of the drive. None of it. You were there and your hands were on the wheel. You stopped at the red lights and the stop signs, but you just weren't there at all. And you don't go inside right away. You sit there for a second, engine running, hands still on the wheel, not particularly thinking about anything. You're just not quite ready to walk in and be needed by somebody else yet. 30 seconds, maybe 2 minutes, and then you go in and you're fine. Or it's Sunday, late afternoon, maybe 4 o'clock, everything's done. The list is handled. Nobody needs anything from you for at least a few hours. And instead of relief, something heavy comes and sits down right on your chest. Not sadness exactly, but just weight. And that weight lifts around 6, right about when somebody else needs something from you again. You've probably never told a soul about that Sunday feeling at 4 o'clock. And you might not have had the words for it until right now. Or it's the smallest one, and it hides right in plain sight. Somebody asks how you're doing, and you say, busy, but good busy. And it's true. And it's also the exact same answer you've given for 11 years. You've said good busy to people who love you 1,000 times, and not one of them heard what was underneath it. Because you made sure the words came out smooth. Or it's right after something good happens. Whatever you've been working towards hits or lands. The big deal, the big promotion, the thing that once you got it, you were certain would help you feel like you've arrived, like you've made it. And for a day, maybe 2, it feels pretty good. But then it just goes flat. And you almost feel guilty about it because you're supposed to be happy. You got the thing. But instead, there's just this quiet little voice saying, is that it? You felt that. The win that tasted like nothing. Now, maybe every one of those was yours. Maybe only one of them was, and the rest missed. And now you've got your own version, possibly also, that I didn't even name. And that's fine. You know the one I'm talking about. Because it came up while I was talking. And maybe you moved past it a little bit too quickly. So go back and get it. Because that one's the reason that you're here. Most men have never said any of this out loud to a single person. So let me say it for you. You got the thing that you were chasing, and it didn't fill the hole. And you don't understand why. And here's the part I really, really want you to hear. Because it's easy to take all of that and decide that it means that there's something wrong with you, that you're ungrateful, or you've got everything a man could ask for and you're still restless. So the problem has got to be you, right? But that's not it. You didn't lose the ability to want things. You still want plenty. What you lost is the ability to tell which of those things and which of those wants are actually yours. Think about it. for 20, maybe 30 years. You've made decisions by reading what everyone around you needed. What she needs, what the kids need, what the job requires, what a good man's supposed to do here. And what you got so good at, or you got so good at it, that it became automatic. But somewhere in all of that reading of everybody else, the signal that tells you what you want just went quiet. It didn't disappear, it didn't go away. It got quiet. Simply because it wasn't being used. And I want to be very careful here because this isn't about blaming anybody else. Nobody did this to you. The people in your life aren't villains. Most of them love you. And most of them have no idea that you feel any of this because you've made sure that they don't know. This isn't a story about what they took from you. It's a story about a man who slowly handed himself away, one reasonable choice at a time, until he couldn't find himself anymore. And I'll tell you what I think is underneath that. Somewhere along the line, you started believing you had to earn your place. That the love, the respect, the right to take up space in this world, that you had to keep paying for it. So you paid for 20, 30 years. And here's what nobody told you. It was never for sale in the first place. You already had it. You were already a son of God before you built a single thing. Here's what I've come to believe. And frankly, it took a long road for me to see it. That blank, the hollow, the little whisper of, is that it? It isn't a defect. It's really just a signal. And I don't think it's random. Because I believe that you were made by God on purpose for a purpose. And the ache you feel when the wind goes flat is the ache of a man who was made for something that wind was never going to satisfy. You've been handing that place in you, one achievement after another. And it keeps handing them back because it wasn't built for those wins. It was built for him. Now, that's not a sermon, and I'm certainly not going to preach at you. I'm just going to say the true thing as plainly as I can, because I spent way too long not saying it. And simply, it cost me more than I'd like to admit. The emptiness is not your enemy. It could be, and quite possibly could be, simply God getting your attention. The only way left that works. And before I give you anything to carry, let me just take one thing off your plate. You heard all of that. And some part of you already started building a project out of it. Figure out what I want, make a plan, fix it by spring, write that down. But this doesn't start with a decision or a hard conversation or a plan. You've already got plenty of plans, I believe that. This starts with one thing, and it's smaller than you'd think. Just simply stop pretending that you didn't notice. That's it. Nothing in your life has to change this week. You don't have to tell anyone. You don't have to know what you want yet. You might not know that for a little while, and that's completely normal. You've been noticing this for years and just putting it right back down. This week, don't put it back down. Now, I'm not going to give you a to-do list. I'm just simply going to give you one question. And I want you to carry it with you for a few days. I don't want you to solve it. I just want you to carry it. And here's the question. When was the last time you wanted something and knew without checking with anyone or without doing any math on who it might affect and without a single ounce of guilt that it was yours? When was the last time you wanted something that was just yours? If you can't remember, that's not a failure. That's just the honest place where we start. And you're not starting alone, whether you feel that yet or not. Sit with it. And if this landed, if you've heard yourself in any of what I've described to you today, I did put together a short guide, and it's called the Reclaiming Roadmap. It's free, it's honest, and it lays out the whole path that I'll be visiting within this podcast. Where you are actually right now, and what the way back looks like. So go to my website, sbs-coaching.com, and it's right there on the front page. And that's it for episode number 1. I'm Brett. This is The Silent Reckoning, and I'm here to help you find the way home.